After Talk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
This show on the road.
Good morning, everybody. What a way to wake up to a rockin' song called Gone, Gone, Gone by the group called Styx, S-T-Y-X, the iconic and legendary rock group. Their first studio album in 14 years. And fuck, it's about time, guys. I'm telling you, I have received this copy last week, and I'm blown away. Definitely blown away. It's definitely a departure. We had the privilege of interviewing Ricky Phillips last week, the bass player, and today is the second revisiting Jackie's Groove. Todd Sucherman, the man on the throne behind the drum throne with Styx, is on the line today here. So it is a beautiful, hot Southern California day. It's Tuesday, June 27th, 9:30 in the morning, early for him, early for me, but we're going to rip it up. So with that said, everybody, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears again to Jackie's Groove, Mr. Todd Sucherman. Todd, good morning, my brother.
Good morning, Jackie. How you doing?
Man, you know what? I'm loving it, man. You know, I always have a great time with you, brother. You started out with Jackie's Groove in its infantile stage last year, and because of artists like you and amazing publicists like Amanda Kagan, who has been bringing us the who's who of the industry, and brought you on today, and we've got Lawrence coming up, and hopefully and also working on Chucky Panozzo right now too, which is really, really good. So with that said, let's talk about the mission, and let's talk about your role on this amazing album. Ricky kind of filled me in on how you tuned your drums to this itself. Go ahead and tell the listeners worldwide how you approached this album and why you did.
Well, I just played the drums, really. No,
Thank you.
They had this concept that they wanted to make the record have this I analog sound, hence the actual vintage gear and recording to 2-inch analog tape. And I know they wanted to capture the spirit of like a Grand Illusion Pieces of 8 era Styx record.
Right.
And they really did it in spades. It really, it does have that sort of warm, nostalgic, familiar feel, but with obviously all new music. So for me, what changed for the drums was, I had some little moon gel dampening on the drums that would otherwise normally have been sort of wide open, a little puffier, fluffier, cream pie type snare drum sounds. I used a 15-inch snare drum on a few of the songs, so it's one deeper, one larger. And they just wanted to capture these sort of warm, creamy sounds, oceanic cymbals. I used large crash cymbals, like 20 and 22-inch crash cymbals mostly. I think the smallest crash cymbal that ever appeared on a song was an 18.
Really?
Big warm crashes. Just that was really it.
Toddy, where did you record your tracks? I noticed a lot of the stuff that you've done that you put on your Facebook page, but where did you actually record your tracks? Not at your studio, or did you record with the boys?
No. We recorded at Blackbird Studios in Nashville, which is just a dream complex, with $1 million microphone collection. It was just an astonishing dream complex. And that old Neve board and, 2-seater, 2-inch tape machines, slaved together. So it was just really wonderful. And the whole Blackbird thing is it's like the Beatles song, Blackbird. So there's Beatles memorabilia and stuff all throughout the studio. So, how do you not, get inspired, surrounded by all the Beatles memorabilia and in a studio such as that?
Hey, Todd, let me ask you a question, brother, itself. On this album, which contains 14 tracks, and as I said before, I've got my favorites. Caprice has got hers, which is, everybody's got. Ricky has his. Can I ask you an unfair question? What is your favorite tune on this album?
Well, I have some favorites for different reasons. I'd have to mention the Red Storm first and foremost, because it really is the deepest progressive type song, and it features, it's sort of the drum feature, if there is one on the record. Compositionally, I think The Greater Good is amazing. Lawrence and Tommy's vocals on that are just, if you don't like that, you don't like ice cream, I
agree.
It's just absolutely stellar. The Radio Silence is another favorite of mine. Locomotive is another favorite of mine. I'm a melody guy. Okay, so for I'm not like a big blues guy. So whenever there's sort of like bluesy melodies, those are normally the things that I do not gravitate towards in life, in anything that I choose to listen to. I'm a melody guy. So anything that has it's a strong melody, that's always going to be, my favorite. I love The Outpost, how that turned out. That was one song that, when I first heard the demo, I thought, I don't know about this one. And then it ended up being, when we all put our spices into it, it turned out to, be the song that just poked through the clouds, and all of a sudden was like this great anthemic rock song. So sometimes, sometimes you can get surprised when you hear an initial idea and you're unsure of it, and then when you see it unfold and grow and blossom and bloom, that's a really special thing.
And Todd, are you at liberty to share with the listeners what the background and why the title The Mission?
Well, specifically regarding the title?
Yes.
Well, I could say that the working title was Mission to Mars, and I thought that was a little too literal, and I thought that it might be too 1950s campy space type of thing. And I don't know if anyone else in the band remembers it this way, but I was actually the one that suggested, why don't we just call it The Mission, because that was more ambiguous. It had a little bit more gravitas. It had a little bit more mystery to it, and they all thought that was a great idea. But I bet I'm the only one that remembers that it went down that way.
That's okay. And and Todd, let me ask you this question: with your crazy schedule with Styx on the road right now, and currently out with REO Speedwagon and Don Felder, how did you guys juggle time-wise? Or did you block time and say, we're going to spend X amount on this album and then we're going to go out again? How did you guys handle that?
Well, to be totally honest, Jackie, Tommy did, the brunt of the heavy lifting with this one. He was definitely in the pilot seat for this.
Okay.
So he and Will, worked on a lot of the initial, the little nuggets of ideas. And then things were sort of brought in just organically, whether Lawrence went to Nashville or, like someone would square off and play some ideas back and forth in the dressing room as we were warming up. It unfolded very organically over time, and nothing was like, preconceived or like, we're going to write this type of thing, or like, what we need to do this type of thing. It all just sort of unfolded over time, organically. I I'm repeating myself there, but I can't emphasize that enough.
Sure.
And by the time that there were some very well-constructed demos, we had the luxury of going into Nashville and going to Tommy's studio in his house and spending a couple days doing a pre-production there about 2 weeks before we went into to cut it for real. So I was able to play the entire record and listen to it against the highly constructed demos and think, okay, that works. That works. I could do something better there. That doesn't work. I could go in, and, literally in my brain, every bar, sort of know what I wanted to do. So when it came time to go into Blackbird, I know that that's very, very expensive, and I was groomed to be a session player. And I did 16 tracks in 2 days, and I was done. Nice. So while it took the band, it took Tommy, 2.5 years, it took me 2 days.
And Todd, let me ask you a question, brother. I don't want to make this a Barbara Walters moment right now, but I've got to ask this. I jotted this down itself, but do you think John Panozzo would be proud of this album? It's impossible to say. I'd like to think that he would. Right. That's as much as I could really say on that. I'd like to think so. And on the living Panozzo, did Chucky give the smile? I mean, he is the grandfather. I mean, he and JY and are the old guys in the band. Was there a part when you guys all sat in a listening party, if that actually has happened, where you guys all looked at each other and all smiled with a kind of a sigh of, yeah, this is good? Have you guys reached that point on this album yet? Or?
I wasn't there for like the grand unveiling listening party that they did in Nashville for with the CAA and a couple of guys from Universal Music. So I wasn't there to sort of experience that. But, from what I heard, it was, handshakes and smiles and high fives all around. I was elsewhere. I was recording with someone else or doing clinic somewhere or just, staying at home with my girls.
Yes, and speaking of which, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Whatever you're going to say is going to be more interesting than whatever I was going to say.
Oh, stop. No, I just wanted to say it because, The Mission is broken at number 6, which is amazing, especially in this barometer of album sales, and which is definitely, it's definitely a forward motion, and we keep our fingers crossed that it keeps going and going and going. But, the Styx fans worldwide are embracing this like crazy. But I think the most important person that you're going to have to weigh this out on that's going to give thumbs up is to the beautiful little Tegan. Has baby girl heard this yet, and is she dancing all around, shaking that booty around the house?
Absolutely. I have a great video of her of dancing to Gone, Gone, Gone. And, when we recorded the record in April of 2016, I had, a recording of Radio Silence. And, she was a baby a year ago compared to where she is now. And she was singing on the Radio Silence in her high chair back then. So for her, this isn't like new music, This is stuff that's been around for a while. It's new to everybody else, but it seems like it's old hat to her.
Taylor's thumbs up with Taylor?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And speaking of which, Ricky had said something to me. He goes, when people come to see a Styx concert, they're biased. They want to hear the old hits, and we understand that. And then I asked him, I said, how many songs off the Mission will you guys be playing for the audience? Now, you guys just played a couple nights ago out here in L.A. at the Greek Theater. How many songs did you guys bestow on the audience on the new album?
Well, when you have like a 75, 80-minute set, in 3 bands, you could only do so much. So we actually walk out. Our walk-on music is the overture from the record, and we go right into Gone, 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 which is the first song. And that's sort of a great way to get away with a new piece of material is to open with it. Because it's not going to be the bathroom beer break song on the very first song. Exactly. And it's also a very quick song. I think at 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. So it zips by at a great pace, and it's a fantastic opening song. And sort of mid-set, we do another one. We do Radio Silence, which we were apprehensive about because it could be the obvious beer break, bathroom break song, but it has not appeared to be that way at all. And the response at the end of the piece of music is the same as if it's one of the classic old familiar songs. So that's been very rewarding and gratifying and comforting. That seems to have been the response. I think 6 or 7 shows into this tour.
Now, is Tommy letting when you guys do that in your set list? For instance, Radio Silence. Is Tommy talking about it as a new song? Is the audience assuming that it's a new song, or does he talk about it as a new song?
No, he's definitely introducing it as a new song and mentioning that we walked out to and the very first song we played are from the new record, The Mission, that we're very, very proud of. So it definitely has the setup as a new piece of music, and it could definitely just as easily be the setup for everyone to go get a beer and go to the bathroom. But again, that has not been what we've been sensing at all. No uncomfortable lull, no uncomfortable murmurs after the song.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's been really, really great. And of course the hopes is to add a couple more songs from the record as when this tour finishes and we're out again by ourselves. And I know that we hope to at some point do some shows where we play the entire record, top to bottom.
Todd, I have a message here from the studio. You have a listener that has a question. I want to bring that to you, if I may, as it's populating here. It says, "Hi, my name is Manos, huge fan, writing from Greece. Traveled twice to the U.S. to see Styx live. The Mission is fantastic. I have two questions. If Todd can answer, number one, is there any chance they will play anything from the wooden nickel era? And secondly, even in a medley, they keep neglecting it. Two, by any chance, will they return to Europe? Thanks in advance. Cheers, Manos."
Hey, Manos. As far as the wooden nickel stuff, like I wouldn't hold my breath for that, honestly. I mean, and I could tell you, it wasn't, as the one who arranged the medley. I arranged the sort of the known songs from the A&M era. I don't even have one of those wooden nickel records. I don't know any of those songs.
Really?
And some hardcore Styx fans are shocked to know that, but I never had any of those records. So that doesn't loom large for me. That wasn't part of my upbringing, or as a fan of the band. And I understand a lot of people did have those records, and that's their experience. But yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath for that. As far as coming back to Europe, I sure hope so. I know we got offers there, and monetarily, they are not enough to really support us over there without losing
right.
big barrels full of cash. It's very, very expensive to go over there, and I wish the promoter offers were a little bit more. But the few times we've been over there, it's been wonderful. I hope to go over there at least once a year to do drum clinics, and I have been for the last 5 or 6 years. And I wish I had a nickel for every time someone said, "When is Styx going to come back to Europe?" Because I could pay for it myself. But I hope we can get back there very soon.
Todd, I know that I put this message out to Joel and Paul, your brothers, so I know they're listening in right now. So you want to say hi to your big brothers itself, and they're looking forward to it. So we're always out there to promote everybody itself. And of course, as I said too, once this archives later on this afternoon, I'll send you the link and you can have at it, and I'll send Paul and Joel, if they're not listening live, I'll send them the link also, if that's okay with you. And
sure.
And so we can go with that. So let me ask you this question, brother boy. So from the time you said April of 2016 was I don't want to use the word the jump off or the inception, but from the starting gate to the Mission to the end, what was the timeline? I mean, a solid timeline. Was it a year and a half, would you say?
No, it was definitely longer than that. I mean, it was a couple of years ago. We were invited by Dr. Alan Stern and the team from New Horizons at NASA to come over there, and just as they were flying by Pluto, and it just coincided magically and naturally with us having a day off in the Virginia, D.C. area. So we went and had a visit and got to see pictures of Pluto, the best pictures of Pluto ever. A day before they were released to the public. And a friendship ensued with the New Horizons team, and they've come to different shows. And I think that was the initial seed that where Tommy had this idea, and then he started writing the song. One day we were playing it out on Catalina Island, and the phrase "Mission to Mars," fell out of his mouth, and that sort of started painting a picture or some sort of story, and everything just sort of grew, again, naturally and organically out of there. So I mean, I know for Tommy, it was close to a 3-year birth, and again, for me, I'm very, very fortunate. I did the whole record in 2 days, after the pre-production experience. But that's what I have groomed myself to do. I'll play a new record in one night. know. So it was again. I had done my tracks a year ago, and it was just up to them to kind of finish things when they were off the road, and just work on everything that they had to do in their own sweet time. So it had that feeling. There was no rushing through this. It was going to be done when it was done, and that was a very important thing for us. No one could talk about the record. This was a large surprise to our fan base that there was even going to be another record, because we didn't do any social media like, hey, here we are in the studio and we're really excited. We did none of that. It was kept a very tight secret, and I think silence. That also, that sort of helped the charm of the record, because our fan base were completely blindsided by this. Where I think they only had a month's notice that there was going to be a record, something like that.
Surprise.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun to keep the secret, but it was also very hard to keep the secret, because every day we're doing interviews. And every interviewer asks, so what's in the pipeline? Anything new coming out? And we all became very professional at sort of skirting and circumventing that question with vague, ambiguous. Well, we're always working on stuff, but our demand to play live is so great at this time that we hope down the future, or in the future, we'll be able to put some of the stuff we're working on up.
Hey Todd, let me ask you a question. In this trio that you're out with right now, REO Speedwagon, Don Felder, and Styx, where does Styx fall in the timeline or in the line it's set up? Are you guys headlining, or is this a triple bill?
Well, it's sort of a co-headline. Don always plays first, and then we flip-flop the middle and closing.
Okay, cool.
Positions with REO Speedwagon. So there's 28 shows on this tour, and we closed 14 of the shows.
I understand your Greek theater was sold out to the walls. Congratulations on that, brother.
Thanks. It's you know that place. It's a magical venue. It's always great to either be on stage or be in the audience at that place.
And we both have been on both sides itself. They still have the hospitality area over there to the left. When you walk out of the stage, it's right in front of you. I don't know. Been there for a while. I know they did some.
They did remodel it. I wish they would have remodeled the air conditioning. That would have been a good call.
Never.
I think they kept the air conditioning from 1983 there.
Hey Todd, let me ask you this question also. You just mentioned earlier in the segment itself about the walk-on with Gone, Gone, Gone. My question and curiosity is, obviously it's being backtracked, it's playing itself. When you guys are walking on, it's at full volume, correct me if I'm wrong, and then you're picking it up at what point of the song and you guys start live. Share with us real quick on that.
It's definitely played at show volume, and there's sort of 7 stab hits that goes into a fermata that will lead into the downbeat of Gone, Gone, Gone. So we just play the last note of the 7 stabs and play the fermata, and then I launch it into Gone, Gone, Gone. Very, very simple.
Very, very cool. I was talking to Ricky last week, and we were telling him, and I said, I want to make sure you say hi to the guys. But I also said, I want to make sure you say hi to the gentleman that scares the shit out of me, who's the sweetest man in the world, but he is definitely cracks the whip, and that's George. So when you see George today, would you please tell him I said hi again also? And for those of you who don't know George is the grandfather of Styx. I don't care about Tommy being the NJY and all the luminaries, but the bottom line is you can be the headliner of the stars, but when you have someone like George, who is about 6'9", I say, that's what it looks like to me, white hair, sweetest man in the world, but when he comes around the corner and says 5 minutes, you never seen a band of stars line up in formation, and they know they're not going to piss George off. So would you do me a favor and say hi to me? Say hi to George for me and Caprice also. I miss the guys, and I'm sure we'll see you definitely soon.
We all leave because, especially for me, George likes to beat me in front of all my friends and guests because it makes him feel like a big man.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
And I don't want to be humiliated by being beat up in front of all my guests and friends and cousins and relatives and stuff like that. So when George says 5 minutes, he means it.
And I got to tell you, going back all the years I've known Todd. No, yeah, just make sure you qualify that. Todd, you and I go back to 1994. And I think about the time-wise, we went back before you became a member of Styx back in 1996. Correct me if I'm wrong on that date or that year. But I know there was a lot of talk about you working with him in the. We talked about this in our first interview, and the listeners worldwide would love to hear another interview with Todd itself and more. And then plus now that I've got my finger on radio and I know what I'm doing more now than I did before then. So I'm going to extend that olive branch when you guys start to mellow out and you start going back on a full Styx tour, because I love when Tommy said at one of the last shows I saw, it says an evening with Styx, not 35 minutes with Styx, not 45 minutes with Styx. It's an evening with Styx. Do you love those solo shows that you get to play everything from A to Z and your guys aren't cramping everything in to a 45-minute set?
Yeah, I mean, as a musician, I like the pace of the relaxed pace of being able to play some deeper cuts or being able to have an ebb and flow of the evening. I do enjoy that. It's sometimes a tougher game being on a multiple bill where you're up against other bands that are going to be firing off their hits. So we have to fire back with our hits, and it's a little bit more of a blam, 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 blam situation, and that can be fun. I mean, it's probably less taxing on my body to play 75 minutes than it is 2 hours. But then again, when I'm playing 2 hours, not every song is going to be blam, 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 blam.
Right.
So they both have their charms, and it's nice to have that variety because if it was just one way all the time, that might get to feel old. So it's nice to change up the set, to be on your toes, to have to look down at the set list and think what's next, and get the tempo in my head. The second the last note of the previous song has been played. That's kind of nice. That keeps you fresh and sharp and thinking. And
Toddy, I'm gonna jump in here right now. We got 10 seconds left. Everybody out there, welcome and say thank you to Todd Sucherman. ToddSucherman.com, StyxWorld.com. The new album out now called The Mission by Styx. You guys go out and spend money on this. Hopefully that Intertalk Network and Intertalk Radio and Jackie Bertoni and Jackie's Groove can add a little bit of a spice to see if we get this album moving and get you guys back out to Europe. So Todd, I love you, brother, like my own family. You know that.
I love you too, man.
And Mama, and thank you for being part of this crazy thing. And we love everybody, man.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.